I believe that the greatest opportunity to build your brand or ruin your brand is in how you deal with conflict. Stay tuned for a great show. Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth. I'm joined with my amazing co-host, Coach Mia.
Thank you, Seth.
We're going to have a great show.
Yeah? What are we going to talk about?
You know what? We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We got a lot to talk about. We've got a Harvest and Heroes event coming up at Summit, October 25th. We are going to talk a little bit about this new exciting partnership we have with Cardin Associates, this 230,000 square foot facility for 5-Star basketball. Wow. Just had some tours this week. That's fun. And we're going to talk a little bit about what we're filming for kids, some of our content, and get into like the new truancy law in the state of Indiana. It's really interesting. We'll dive into that. So if you just tuned in, thanks for tuning in. And I really want to encourage you to go to our website and check out who we are as an organization. We're on a mission to change culture. And for 20 years, we've produced great results and we're just growing. We have so much momentum. And that's the purpose of this show, is to spread awareness. So you can help us by hitting the like button and by subscribing so you never miss an episode, and by sharing it with your friends, your family, your coworkers. That helps us a lot. Helps us out a lot. Also, you can listen to this podcast anywhere that podcasts are streamed. You can watch us at YouTube at the 5-Star Life. You can also, we have a new platform, excited about it. It's called Your Home TV. Kathy Ireland is a big part of that platform. It's kind of her platform. Anyways, millions of people are on there. It's a very cool way to check out this show by video.
All right. Let's dive in.
We'll dive in. So let's start with what we have coming up and what we're in the middle of this week. We don't have occupancy quite yet at the new basketball facility. For those who are new to 5-Star Life, 7 years ago, we started a basketball program, started a sports division of 5-Star Life. And it was really, the purpose behind it was, because I remember having a conversation with some guys that play basketball. They're like, why does 5-Star want to get into basketball and travel basketball and sports? It's so dirty and there's no values. It's just the wild, wild west. Why? We're like, well, our mission is to change culture. And kids, and you didn't notice this, they like basketball. They like sports. Mm-hmm. It's a great hook. So it's a way that we can get into a domain that kids are attracted to and bring 5-Star Life into it. And for 7 years we've been doing it. It's been really fun to watch it grow.
It has. And I think you had said before that, like, where we're kind of like gypsies. We went from gym to gym to gym, having practices, having games, and we finally have a home.
We have a home after 7 years of being nomads and just wandering. And anybody who's listening who's ever been homeless, that's what it was like. Trying to build a business being homeless is hard. Trying to build a life being homeless, it's so hard. But we've done it, and thankfully our parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles who have been committed in bringing their kids to the programs, they've followed us from gym to gym. They've put up with a lot, and it's hard. So they've been really gracious to us, and I think it's because the bar has been so low. I think that's why they put up with it, because they recognize, okay, 5-Star Life, we may not have a home, we may be wandering around a little bit, but I really like the level of coaching. I really like the way they integrate values, and that's not just about the sport. Even though 5-Star teaches basketball at the highest level, they're bringing in other components that will far outlast when the kids stop playing the game.
Now, you made a comment that the bar was low. Let's clarify what you meant by that. The facility-wise, that bar was low? So
travel basketball, the bar is really low.
Okay.
soccer, to have a club travel soccer team, it's actually sanctioned. There's actually governing bodies that have a say in who can start a club, who can't start a club. There's rules. How many kids you have, kids can't transfer. It's not loosey-goosey. Basketball, I say the bar is low because it's ungoverned. There's no governing bodies. It's just you have 5 kids and have 5 jerseys. You can sign up for not any event. You can't sign up for the big elite ones. There's invitation-only events.
Sure.
But most tournaments, come one, come all.
And you can jump from team to team and
jump from team to team. So as far as vetting coaches, right? None of that happens. Even vetting players, lying about ages, how old the kids are, none of that happens until you get to the high school level. And that's only if you're doing NCAA sanctioned events. So the only thing that's sanctioned in travel basketball is when it comes to the higher level basketball players at the high school level that choose to play in a sanctioned event, which there's like a half a dozen a year.
Sure. Unless you play for 5-star, we do vet our coaches and we do even vet our players too. We have relationships and
that's what I'm saying. So just having a bar where we're going to screen people to make sure, one, they're safe and they're living by our values. And then we're going to take a look at, do they know the game of basketball, and then help them along and hold them accountable to actually coach our system. We have a system, a way of playing, a way of operating. And so just having a system like that, people like, count us in. You may not have a home, but nobody else does either.
Yeah.
In Michiana.
So, but we do have a home now. It's absolutely beautiful. We just did some tours. Do we have an official open or a grand opening?
So October 23rd is our grand opening. It's the Mishawaka Fieldhouse, incredible partnership. For the last almost 5 years, we've been working on this deal with them. And it is a massive facility. It's got a turf side for lacrosse and soccer and football and baseball. And then there's a pickleball area, 15, 16 courts. The other wing, the west wing, is what we're in. We're in the basketball/volleyball side. And so we're sharing space. Neva is in there. They're one of the program partners. 5-star's a partner. And we have 10 basketball courts. And we're talking state of the art.
I have been in gyms before, and this is absolutely beautiful. It's just,
It's the nicest sports facility in the Midwest. And one of the only, there's probably one in the country that's better than this facility right now. So it's an elite, beautiful state-of-the-art facility. And so it's fun because we call it 5-star basketball. We haven't had 5-star facilities for the basketball program. Now we do.
Yeah.
That's really special.
So come out and see it. We got some tours. We also have some exciting things happening.
Yeah, we have Harvest and Heroes coming up, and this event is just super fun. And for years, we've had people say, "Hey, can we bring our family out to Summit? Hey, can we?" We're like, "Well, we're focused on kids. We bring school groups and kids and nonprofits." This is the one time a year we open it up for family-friendly fun. It's a Friday night, October 25th, and it's free, no admission fee, and kids can do horseback riding. I think probably some hatchet throwing, fishing. There's going to be equine demonstrations. We're going to have our birds of prey demonstrations happening. See raptors and all kinds of birds of prey in action. See them up close and personal. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So you do have to buy tickets for some of the activities, but not all of them.
Yeah, so it's going to be fun. There's going to be great food and live music and a great experience.
You can take a tour on our property. I think we're even going to have some horse-drawn cart rides and things like that too.
Yeah, so the idea was to open the place up so people can just bring their family, and they're going to be exposed to who we are, to hear our mission if they want to as well. So if you're interested, you've been listening to this show and you're like, "Man, I'd love to come to Summit. You guys talk about it." This is your opportunity to bring your family out and have some fun.
And they just go to our website and sign up, and the information's on there when it starts. And
5starlife.org. You can see there's actually a header right at the top that says click here for more information, or to RSVP. Spread the word. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It is.
The other thing I want to say about this is we are inviting some people to come with the intention of learning more about 5-star intentionally. And with what's happening with 5-star basketball and this event up at Summit, we want to talk to people about this long-standing 20-year commitment to kids. We've made a commitment that we're never going to turn a kid away because of money. Our growth is putting pressure and challenging that. We're on a mission to build up a scholarship fund, an endowment, if you will. So I just want to plant that seed for anybody out there that wants to help us. We are growing so fast. We need funds, a scholarship fund to help all types of kids that sometimes can't afford what we offer. So at the break, it's a great opportunity for you to check that out. Go online right now at the break if you're not driving. Invite your friends, your family. And we're going to come back and talk a little bit about the new Indiana truancy law.
Did you know that you can bring the values, lessons, and mindsets Coach Seth discusses on the 5-Star Life podcast to your local community? Schools are searching for programs and content that work. Just a simple introduction to your teacher or principal could be a game changer in your community. Inquire at 5starlife.org and someone from our team will be in touch.
Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, and I'm joined in studio with Coach Mia, my co-host.
Thanks, Seth.
And in this segment, we're going to dive into actually a curriculum lesson. And we just filmed lesson number, what do we call it, 18. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be kind of a hitter for kids.
That was an ouchie one
Was
for
it?
me, yeah.
Why?
Because I do not like the subject. There, I said it.
So we're in a series teaching kids how to transform their brand. And we talk about transformation. That's a theme this entire year, 28 lessons. You know, transformation, think about metamorphosis. Think about a caterpillar egg going through the 4 phases until it's a butterfly. So you're thinking about a radical change in form or nature or character. And so when we talk about transforming our brand, we're talking about like, how do we want to be known? How do we want to be known like as a personal brand? And I'm a big believer, and there's a lot of research to back this up, that there's more people. You think about businesses, you think about individuals, there's more people that have built up an image or a brand, all to have it fall in a moment simply because of the way they handle conflict.
No, I get it. I totally get it. And it's so important. It's just a area that I struggle with.
Everybody struggles with it. And what I want people listening to think about is this, like every conflict, many years ago, I used to avoid conflict. I didn't like conflict. I was just uncomfortable in it. And I started to realize early on working with kids, I was like, man, every time that I embrace the conflict and just relax and embrace it and see where it can go, I recognize like, man, when there's emotion stirred up, it means I have kids' attention. So it's interesting. So in conflict, people are stirred up. You have an opportunity. We have an opportunity. Every time we're in conflict, it's an opportunity to build our brand or destroy or ruin our brand.
It's the emotions. It's like when all the emotions are stirred, I think the hard part is taking a moment and stepping back, where most people just attack.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that say like, conflict is hard for me. I'm just a hothead, or I'm an emotional person. That's how I've always been. My parents know it. Everybody around me knows it. That's just who I am. Let me be. And research would say that that's actually incorrect. You are who you are, and because you've programmed yourself to respond certain ways. Your parents have allowed it. You yourself have allowed it. So this idea that this is just who I am or how I am, all the brain research and the fact that they can break this stuff down is now thrown that out the window. We no longer have excuses to say that because we're choosing it. And we can change, and we can all learn how to build our brand through conflict and handle conflict in a better way.
So does this go back to like childhood, how we handled it, and then it just evolves if we don't really understand like that there's different ways to handle conflict?
Oh, there's no question. I mean, from 0 to age 6, I mean, 0 to 3 for sure, 3 to 6, a little less, 6 to 12, all the way to 12. Kids are like giant antennas. They're receiving information. They're just receiving. So they're watching how their parents deal with conflict. They're watching how they're just watching how people deal with conflict, and they're picking it up. So we learn how to deal with conflict based on what we see. And then we also innately, we have emotions that when you're a kid, you don't know how to control those. So we have certain responses, reactions based on birth order, based on how we're treated, based on all of those things. And we end up creating different ways of handling conflict. And this is why parenting is so important. Parents are to be the guides to help kids learn how to deal with conflict. And there's two ways. We can either react or respond. One is poise. One is just totally reactive, out of control. Parents are to teach their kids. And unfortunately, there's not a manual. There's a ton of books out there, though. You got to dig and find them. But that's why we're talking about this.
Mm-hmm. And I would say there's one in the middle, too, is that you react, but you're not out of control. You know, I think sometimes I speak quickly, and then it's like, oh, you know. But I think when you dislike conflict, there's also a part of you that just wants it over with. Mm-hmm. And so it's however I go about that, it's going to be done. Is that fair or no?
It's fair. It's how you, right now at this moment in time, it's how you handle conflict. And all we can do is pause and like identify. We have a ropes course at Summit. It's one of the most powerful tools at teaching the simplicity of living a 5-star life. You first have to identify where you are. Here I am. Here's my starting point. Then you look down the way and you look at where you want to end up. And then you have to look through the obstacles. So identifying where you are, like, okay, I'm reactive, right? Mm-hmm. You know that about yourself.
Right.
And reactive is not terrible unless we're reacting just out of emotion. So the point I make with kids is if you can, there's a simple not easy, but simple process. If you can pause in conflict, and pausing and taking a couple deep breaths is powerful. And this can happen in seconds, or sometimes we need minutes or time, depending on where we're at emotionally. The pause, it's like think about a snow globe. Conflict is coming, emotions and our mental state, the mind is racing so fast, the emotions are stirred up. It's like the snow globe there's a blizzard going on. So dealing with conflict in that is going to be chaotic, right? I mean, who knows what's going to come out? That's why a few deep breaths scientifically has been proven to help the snow globes just settle. Everything just settles. Now, the second step is now I can identify what I'm feeling. What am I feeling right now? There's a lot racing, but I'm settling now. Okay, what was that about? Okay. I was angry because I used the illustration of playing basketball. I was playing in a men's league when I was in my early 20s, out of college. Was done playing college basketball, so I still had that competitive edge. And dirty player, elbowing, grabbing my jersey, throwing his shoulder into me, setting screens, throwing his knee into me, into my thigh, just dirty. And I reached a boiling point. He set an illegal screen, really bad. It hurt. And before I even knew it, I exploded. I mean, literally, he hit me, it hurt, and in a millisecond, I took 5 explosive steps towards him and just 2 hands in the chest. He went flying, down the court on his back sliding, and then the ref's blowing the whistle saying, "You're out. You're done." And then I'm mad at the ref. I'm like, what do you mean? This guy's been dirty all game. Like, get him off of me. And then my teammates are coming around me saying, like, they're like looking at me wide, like, what is happening to Seth? Like, this is what the heck? And then all of a sudden, I'm realizing, like, I just threw a grown man tantrum in this gym. And I'm walking, the ref's walking me to the sideline. I'm looking at the wives, the little kids watching me. And now I'm embarrassed, I'm humiliated, I'm ashamed. And I realized, like, everyone in the gym now views me differently because of a 5-second reaction. I branded myself.
So what'd you learn from that?
What I learned is what I just walked through. The pause is so important. The second step, like being mindful. What am I feeling? Like mindfulness, self-awareness. If I would have, and I do this now ahead of time, if I would have been mindful of, hey, you got a dirty player here. He elbowed you once. He's grabbed you. Like, he's dirty. Mm-hmm. I played against a ton of dirty players. It's not new. So a little mental note, Seth, dirty player, you know what to do. Let the ref see it, but focus on your game. I would have been fine. But I couldn't think clearly because I didn't recognize the emotions rising.
Sure.
Simple stuff. So we'll come back in the next segment and unpack a little more, but we'll pause there for a minute. Go to 5starlife.org to learn more, to get involved at the break.
Five Star Life is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to changing the face of culture by changing kids' mindsets. Since 2005, we've impacted hundreds of thousands of lives thanks to the generous support of individuals, small businesses, corporations, and foundations. Are you interested in helping Five Star Life grow into all 50 states? With your donation or introduction, you can help bring Five Star Life to your community, school, and state. Go to fivestarlife.org and send us an email today. That's FIVESTARLIFE.org.
Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, joined in studio with Coach Mia.
Thanks, Seth. We're talking about my favorite subject, conflict.
You know, it's been fun because we've grown up in 5-Star together. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say, like, the way you handled conflict 20 years ago as opposed to now, like, major growth. And I think that's the thing I want to highlight, like, for kids and for parents or adults or anybody. Like, we get this wrong. We're so worried about perfection when I mean, the goal has got to be progress. And I had a mentor that always said, praise progress, not perfection. If we're always measuring ourselves against perfection, we can get so disheartened and just give up because it just can be exhausting and feel overwhelming, like we're just failures. And the reality is, if there's a guy who wrote a book that just said, you know, if we can just get 1% better, and if I can just be more in tune when I'm in conflict, like, and that, I would just say, like, leaps and bounds for you and me, we're growing. I think the sad thing is when we just excuse ourselves and just say, this is who I am. Because then we're stuck in a cycle. And that cycle is impacting our families, our coworkers, I mean, people everywhere we go.
I think that is probably one of the biggest lessons that I've learned from being a part of 5-Star is just that there is freedom. There's freedom from, you know, yourself, your personality, the way you handle conflict. And I was talking to a coworker and they were in this situation and they said, you know what, I'm so lucky to be a part of 5-Star because we deal with this every day. It's like we almost have counseling every day because in real time, we talk about it with each other. And this is what we're teaching kids to do the same thing.
And it's, you know, the neat thing about when you have that as your culture, it creates a strong culture. Mm-hmm. Or it scares away people that don't want to resolve conflicts, right? I mean, that's part of what we teach kids. Like, if you can first pause and take a breath and let the emotions settle, then step 2, if you can identify what emotions you're feeling and why you're feeling them. Where's this coming from? Like, why did that upset me? Like, why out of all, I've played so much basketball in my life, like, and I've never done anything close to that. Why in that moment did I respond that way? It's so important to think about that, and because it helps us grow. What is it? Maybe it's something unrelated even from that. Frustration from marriage or from kids. And then this jerk, I'm trying to go and have an outlet to release and play basketball, and this guy's ruining it, right? It's complex. But if we just put ourselves in a box of, I just do this, I can't control it, it's wrong. We got to get more in tune with who we are, because that's where there's great power. And that's really what we talk about. You're either going to react or you're going to have poise. And poise is such a, you think about poise in the Webster's dictionary talks about equilibrium or balance, right? It speaks of strength and integrity. You're strong. And you think about people who, I'm going to put you on the spot. And Jake, are you mic'd up today? Not yet. I'll have you chime in on this if you get mic'd up. Can you think of anybody who handles conflict with poise?
Other than you really do it well. And Jim, my husband, I always say Melanie Rosander. There's just some great, people that have, I guess, a poise. We don't use that word very enough. Poise. How does that poise, what does that do for their brand to you? Oh my gosh, I want to be around that. I mean, I think of like Melanie. I just adore her. I want to be around her, and I want to strive to be more like her. She can have a conflict. She can have a deep, conversation that, they're on two different sides, and do it with such grace and, just calmness and this loving spirit that I'm like, wow.
Isn't that beautiful?
It is.
It's like, it's beautiful, it's powerful, it's poise. It's gracious, it's wonderful. And, this world lacks it. You think about society. I mean, probably the simplest way to explain current culture is conflict. It's just everything is at war. And, even now, we're in a political season. It's just crazy. Yeah. And it's a lack of poise. So to me, it's so exciting to think about growing and developing that. And brain science now teaches us that every one of us can learn to be poised. We can develop poise, that should be exciting. We don't have to stay stuck, but it takes some work.
It does. And you know what? The people that have poise are also the people that, you talked about. Now you go into a room and you prepare yourself to go in that room. And I think of like a Melanie, she prepares, she's a planner, and it's like, she gets up every day and she's a believer, and, she starts her day that way, but it's like she's planning that out ahead of time. And that's probably why she is so good at it.
It is. And conflict, the thing that's helped me so much, because I am a planner too, if you can come out of, like, the best teacher is bad conflict. Like, I mean, truly. So instead of feeling guilt and shame and running away from conflict, you should embrace it and just evaluate the last conflict you had. Go through this process. Like, evaluate what your emotions were saying, where that was coming from. And then the third step is respond appropriately. Like, decide how you should proceed. If you can look back retrospectively on your last conflict and make edits, that's how I've built more poise into my life, whether it's with my wife, my kids, people at work, or anybody. It's always from Jordan's in flight school. My son's in flight school. What they're preaching and teaching them every day is you're trying to get the perfect flight. But you never get it. Like, they just say you're never going to have the perfect flight. But every flight you debrief. You're all, like, pilots are always getting better. They're always debriefing. Like, oh man, yeah, this might, I should have done this, or I could have done this. That's how we need to be with relationships and how we deal with conflict. And some people say, well, that's exhausting. I would beg to differ. I think not doing that is exhausting. Running from conflict, not handling it well, I think the amount of guilt and shame and pressure and fear and all that stuff, I think that's exhausting.
I think today it's easier to run away from conflict because it's almost acceptable that you can just check out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not helping anybody. You get on your phone, you do whatever just to, do mindless things instead of debriefing what you just, experienced.
This place of poise, its power. You get through the pause, the deep breath, the identifying your emotions, where they're coming from, and then you respond, you decide what's next. Most of the time, my response is nothing. It's just like, not a battle I need to fight. There's it's okay. I can let them win. I don't need to fight this, either because it's not a big deal, or because I know the other person has no poise, and I know it's just a waste of emotion. I'm going to get more stirred up because they're not at a place of poise.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, they don't want to resolve anything. They want to fight.
Right.
So most of the time, you just walk through that process. You keep your peace. You stay poised. And the only thing I'll say, as you practice poise, some people will hate it. Because some people in your life are used to triggering you and pushing your buttons, and they're going to get really frustrated that they can't control you anymore. And they're going to feel threatened that you're not reacting the way they want. The rest of the time, it's going to be critical thinking. Okay, how do I solve? Now that I have a person over here that this is a battle worth fighting, this is a conflict worth going through. It's your kids, it's a relationship. Both people are in a place of poise. We can talk. Now let's dive into it. Let's use critical thinking. Let's talk about solutions. At that point, it's not that hard. That's the hard part is everything before that. All right. We'll take another break, and we'll come back with more after this. Go to 5starlife.org to learn more, to donate, to RSVP for our Harvest and Heroes event, and to subscribe to the show.
Five Star Life offers year-round programs for kids at our 350-acre training facility that we call Summit. These programs focus on 3 core components. First, each program includes lessons from our curriculum that targets kids' mindset. Secondly, each program teaches a skill like equine, archery, blacksmithing, basketball, fishing, boating, and many more. Thirdly, our programs connect kids to mentors we call coaches, who are trained to help kids live a 5-star life. Go to 5starlife.org to learn more or sign up your kids.
Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, joined in studio with Coach Mia.
Thanks, Seth. What are we going to talk about?
You know what?
Last segment.
This has been a fun show. We've been all over the board.
Yeah.
Started with Harvest and Heroes event, October 25th. Please, RSVP, come out. It's going to be so much fun. Mm-hmm. And then we talked about basketball in our new home, Mishawaka Fieldhouse, right on Douglas Road. Didn't tell you where it's at. Off Douglas Road, just down from St. Joe Hospital and WSBT. And then we dove into a curriculum lesson talking about Mia's favorite topic, conflict. And now we're going to wrap it up talking about this kind of an educational political topic. In Indiana, last legislative session, they spent a lot of time talking about an issue that we work very closely with schools on. That's attendance. We've been talking about this. I've been talking about this for years. Attendance has been an issue, and then COVID made it a bigger issue. Allowing kids to stay home, forcing kids to stay home and learn digitally. Kids lost so much education, so much learning loss, and it was literally like there was kids that for 2 years didn't learn anything, or very little. And it is tragic, and what it created was a vacuum where, habits change. It's get to school when you can. If you don't get to school, not a big deal. So it is amazing how many thousands of kids are not showing up to school. I mean, it's something like less than half the kids show up for school consistently, right? So over half the kids are missing a lot of school, not just like a day. I'm not talking about like a sick day. I'm talking about unexcused absences, not excused absences. These are unexcused absences. So the legislative group, across party lines, voted to pass a law into law that really cracks down on this issue. So it's more grade school related. So younger kids trying to make sure they get a good foundation. They're in school. Teachers and test scores. I mean, they take a big hit on this. But how do you teach kids that aren't in seats? That's a big thing to think about. So after the law says, after 5 unexcused absences, they have to put a plan into place, an attendance plan for that child. Once you get to 10 unexcused absences, you have to report that to the county prosecutor. And then you start to offer different services and different resources that are in the process of being created, looking at different options. 5 Star Life SNAP program is one of those things on the table as an option for kids who are struggling. A diversion program, like why aren't you in school? What's going on? To help the parents and the kids as well.
So is this the teacher or the school has to put together a plan?
The school district has to have a plan.
Okay.
And I mean, teachers, everybody's involved in the process.
So it's not an individualized plan, it's a school-wide plan?
They have to have a school plan, but then part of that is sitting down with those individual families. So, I mean, it's creating a lot. Mm-hmm. So I think educators are feeling that pressure of, okay, how do we have to do this, which it's important. Like it's important, but this is all new. And so I really hope this really does help. And right now our team is talking to local districts and government groups about how 5 Star can help with that. We know part of the issue, when kids are in school, if they're not engaged and they're not learning, and if they don't want to be in school, there's definitely studies out there that say when kids don't feel connected, when kids don't feel safe, they don't show up for school. Mm. When they don't value it, they don't show up. So part of what we're pushing is saying, let 5 Star Life help create that culture, that environment through our training of teachers and through our curriculum. Our curriculum has been proven to help engage kids and create community. When you go through lessons talking about conflict, and kids are swimming in conflict at home and in school, and you're equipping them with tools and how to deal with conflict, they're not showing up for school or telling their parents, I don't want to go to school because of the bully. Or I don't want to go to school because I don't get along with this person or I'm being mistreated. Those things start to go away when you teach kids how to deal with life. So again, for people listening and you're like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. Maybe you're connected to a local school district or nonprofit. One way that you can help is by just reaching out to them and saying, hey, you should listen to this podcast or you should listen to this show. I'm going to send it to you. Check it out. If it connects, get a hold of 5 Star Life. Bring it to your school. At least have a conversation about the ways they can help.
That's good. So do they have studies that actually, like, why do kids not want to come to school? Is it just like you know what I mean? There's so many situations. I know this is a loaded question, but is there like
There's a lot. There's a lot of information out there. And like you said, it's a variety of factors. You have, when the economy is down, mm-hmm. you have parents that are struggling to work and struggle to get kids to school because they're picking up shifts. Their job is changing. It's fluctuating. And then you have a rise in addiction and a rise in mental health issues. So when you have a single mom who is under it and she's coping using alcohol or something, and the deeper she goes in or he goes into that cycle, the less she's in control of her kids because she's just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that are, it's so simple to them because they've never ever been in that environment. I'm telling you what, it is not as simple as people think. It's not as cut and dried as people think. We're talking about people that are hurting and are doing the best they can, but it's everybody's failing in that situation. So what are the fixes? Things like SNAP, right? Where we come alongside the mom, the dad, the grandparent, and the kid together to start to give them support, encouragement, hope, to challenge their perspective, their mindset, the way they look at themselves, the way they look at the hole they're in, as if they're never getting out. So many parents we talk to, they're just like, I can't do this. It's never going to change. They're so hopeless.
Right. And they're trying to break cycles. That came from their parents. They probably didn't value education because they were going through the same things.
Correct. And so it's a timely topic to talk about conflict today because that's often the main driver of addiction, of marital issues, of domestic violence. It's all conflict, right? Mm-hmm. All these issues, it's conflict. And if you don't know how to deal with that, you're using old systems that you just grew up in and they're not working.
Right.
So it's why it's why I'm starting to beat my chest about 5-star. It's why this is so important. I mean, I know some people probably tune in and think, oh, that's nice, talking about conflict, that's so nice, It's like, no, this is the stuff that makes families work. This is the stuff that makes humanity work and thrive and function it creates a loving, engaging society that can think critically because they're not in a blizzard emotionally and mentally.
That's such a great vision that you gave with the snow globe and even to say that the blizzard, because I think so many people, that's how they feel.
And what we do is we give margin, space. In that space, you can see it as parents come in, kids come to the program, they come in the blizzard. And by the time that it's over, the blizzard's down. Mm. So now you have a window to inject when they can receive it, some new tools.
Yeah.
To take one little step, 1% better. And that's truly the methodology of every program we have. And that's why it works. It's why just this week, a local assistant superintendent just shared data on our new program, Innovative Learning. They're like, the attendance is going up with the kids that are part in the grade levels that are part of Innovative Learning. Behavioral issues are going down. Test scores already last spring, we have a school, their test scores went up for the first time in years.
Awesome.
This stuff works. And I just want to thank everybody for listening to me go on about this. I'm very passionate about it. We're on a mission. I want you to join me. October 25th, join me in getting involved in our scholarship fund, in volunteering, and spreading the word at 5starlife.org. Please like, share, subscribe. We're out of time. Thank you so much.
At 5-Star Life, we are changing the face of culture through education and sports by changing the most important piece of a human being's life, their mindset. If you are interested in being a part of our journey, please visit 5starlife.org for more information on volunteer and donation opportunities.